Rule number 83. A cum clause with a past tense indicative verb identifies or defines the time at which the action of the main clause occurs. Over the next three rules, we're going to look at cum clauses. So that is cum when it's serving as a conjunction in introducing a clause. You probably know that cum can also be a preposition meaning with, taking the ablative case. We will explore the distinction between these two homonyms, they are actually different words, at the end of the video. For now, we're going to look at clauses introduced by the conjunction cum, meaning when the clause has a verb in the indicative mood. This type of clause has a name called a cum temporal. From the name temporal, we can see that this clause shows a relationship of time. And since the indicative mood is being used, this cum clause is going to show the definitive time when the main clause occurred. So, moenia duxit, tum cum urbem condidit. He built the walls, and the verb duxit here can be used for creating things and building stuff, at the time when he founded the city. Our cum clause, cum urbem condidit, tells us the specific time at which the walls were built, at the founding of the city. We also see tum associated with cum in this bit from Catullus, when he's describing why he's dedicating his book of poems to the historian Cornelius Nepos, who thought that Catullus's poetry was something. Iam tum cum ausus est omne aevum explicare. At the time when you dared to explain all of history in 3 books, he later goes on. The deponent verb ausus es here is in the perfect indicative. And this one is from Cicero. Fulgentis gladios hostium videbant decii, cum in acium eorum inruebant. The decii saw the flashing swords of the enemy when they rushed upon their line. Our cum clause with the indicative inruebant tells us the specific time that the decii saw the enemy's swords. And then there's this famous threefold example from Cicero's In Catilinam, cum quiescunt probant, cum patiuntur decernunt, tum tacent clamant. When they are quiet, they approve. When they allow it, they are deciding. When they are silent, they are shouting. The cum clauses here identify an action that is happening at the same time as the main clause actions. So let's talk about tenses for a bit. Our cum temporal clause will almost always have a verb in the past tense, but sometimes the verb will be in the present tense with a past sense. So cum occiditur Roscius, ibidem fuerunt servi. When Roscius was killed, his enslaved people were right there. Even though occiditur is present tense, it's perfectly fine to convey it with a past tense form in English to match the perfect tense of fuerunt. Conversely, when the verb in the cum clause is in the perfect tense, but the main clause verb is in the present tense, we can translate both verbs in the present tense, and our cum is more like a whenever. Like, cum uxorem vidi, magnopere gaudeo. Whenever I see my wife, or more literally, whenever I have seen my wife, I am very happy. And when our cum clause verb is in the pluperfect tense with the main clause verb in the imperfect tense, we can translate both verbs in the imperfect. And again, our cum is more like a whenever. Cum fures custodem spectaverant, celeriter fugiebant. Whenever the thieves saw the guard, they would quickly flee. Cum as a conjunction has a different origin from cum as a preposition. They've converged in their spelling from different places. Cum, the conjunction, originates in the relative qui, which gives it its ability to introduce a subordinate clause. And we can see this in older versions of cum, namely cum, spelled Quum, which was used up until about the time of Cicero in the mid-1st century BC. And it's related to the conjunction quam, which means as or how. Quum is the masculine form, quam, the feminine. It's also the correlative of tum, which means then or at that time, as we saw earlier. But the preposition cum comes from the archaic form com, spelled C-O-M, and this is where the prefix form of cum originates. You'll never see C-U-M prefixing a word. It's always a form of C-O, co, like in comito or compono, and the M changes or assimilates to another consonant or is dropped altogether, like in corripio, connecto, or consumo. So it's important to keep in mind the distinction between the two cums. This rule and the next two rules talk about cum as a conjunction. Rule number 83, a cum clause with a past tense indicative verb identifies or defines the time at which the action of the main clause occurs.